Welcome back to Outlook Houston. Now, if you're looking for a new, tasty summer recipe, Chef Joe Abuso may have just what you need. Joe, welcome back to Outlook Houston.
Nice to be back.
We've got some like they would say in Texas, big old shrimp here. My daughter loves shrimp. And I know that, what is it, shrimp with mango chutney?
What this is going to be is Chardonnay poached shrimp with mango chutney, which is basically it's kind of like boiled shrimp and salsa that's been to college.
Okay, let's get started.
It's a great summer dish. It's real light. You can do it a day ahead of time. You can really do all the work. Like
and this looks like it would work good for like a dinner party.
It's great for a dinner party. I tell you, it's great if you're just like grilling stuff in the backyard. If you're grilling T-bones or something, or hamburgers and hot dogs, and you just want something lighter for some people. This works great, like putting out on a buffet kind of thing. Just putting out a platter of it. We use it a lot at Abuso Catering Company in the summer, like for buffets. And for little seated dinners.
And these shrimp that you have, Joe, when you came in, I'm like looking at them. They are absolutely huge. And I do a lot of grocery shopping. I don't see them that big necessarily in the grocery store.
I don't even know if you can buy them in a grocery store. This is what we typically use at the catering company, but they're called U10s. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that one? Give it a shot.
And if you look at it in your hand, it's like.
And my hand is huge. Keep that in mind. But it's called a U10, meaning there's under 10 per pound. So like they don't even call them 1620, they just talk about U10. So these are called U10s, and we use them all the time. They're more expensive, but they look really cool and they taste great.
But the good thing is, if I don't want to buy U10s, I can go and get me some large or some extra large.
You can get any size you're comfortable with. Absolutely. And you know, I'm going to show you how to poach a shrimp today, but if you don't even feel like doing that, you can just buy them pre-cooked.
Okay, let's get started.
Okay, so
tell me what I need to do. I want to cook this at home.
First, we're going to get poaching the shrimp, and then while the shrimp is poaching, we're going to make the mango chutney. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a little saute pan, and we're going to kind of dry roast some fennel seeds.
Where do I find that in the grocery store?
This you can just like McCormick's or whatever brand in a little jars.
In the spices.
In the spice rack.
Okay.
So fennel, coriander seeds, and the whole idea of this is to get some flavor into the poaching liquid so that the shrimp tastes better.
Okay.
That's all that's about. And some black peppercorns. And you don't have to do this, but toasting them like this just brings out the flavor. It makes them just toastier. They're fine if you don't do this, but if you have the time, this is a nicer way to do it.
So if I was at home, I don't necessarily have to have these ingredients. I can go straight to the water part or just straight to the fry.
Although if you know, I mean, for a couple of bucks you can buy these seasonings, and it'll just make it taste that much better.
And you'll have it around for a while.
Yeah, oh yeah, these things will last forever. So okay, so you toast your fennel, coriander, and black pepper, and we're gonna let them go just a little bit more. Then.
Joe, how do you know when they're actually toasted? Because they still look the same to me.
That's a good question. You kind of go, you can burn them. So if you go too far, you can burn them. If they get black and smoky, you went a little too far. But you'll smell in a minute.
Black and smoky is always a good indicator that you burned something.
My mom used to use the smoke alarm as a cooking timer. So I learned from her. If it gets black and smoky, you went too far. But the main thing, can you start to smell them? I mean, I bet you can smell even from where you are.
Oh, I can smell. I can smell it.
No, but they get real aromatic, and when they start smelling real good and they start getting just a teeny bit brown, then they're done.
You know that they're done.
And you're better off going a little too little than a little too much, because a little too little they're still fine, a little too much they're burnt. You have to start over. And when you burn them, you can tell. I mean, it'll be kind of an acrid smell. Okay, so you see how they're getting a little tan?
Right. So you get them a little tan, and then what do we do from there?
They smell nice. I'm going to just dump them in some water.
Okay.
And then you don't have to worry about them burning anymore at that point, because they can't burn in water. Then I'm going to add to that about 50-50 white wine. I'm using Chardonnay because I'm calling them Chardonnay Poached Shrimp, but any dry white wine would be fine.
So about a half a bottle?
Well, however much water you have, about equal amount of wine. And the main reason you're putting wine in is because wine is acidic, and it's good to poach things in a slightly acidic solution. Things cook more evenly, they cook quicker, they cook better.
What's the difference between poaching and just plain old boiling?
A lot of it is just the price on the menu. Poached food costs more than boiled food. But really, boiling implies like a real vigorous boil. Poaching is just kind of a nice slow simmer. And things will generally cook better on a slow simmer than a vigorous boil.
And generally, when you poach something, and you adding something to the water? Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to, but basically you're just trying to get flavor into whatever it is you're poaching. And, you know, in fact, the next thing we're going to do, I'll show you. We're going to add a few more things to that liquid. We're just going to do some carrots. Doesn't really matter how you cut them up, because...
And all of this, Joe, is just to get flavor in those shrimp?
Exactly. And you'll see when you taste them. They really will taste nice. And onion is always good. And again, we're not going to actually eat these things. These are just going to be in the poaching liquid. which they call a cuisson. The French call it cuisson. French have a different word for almost everything.
For everything, huh? So you chop up that onion. So that was a really large onion. So if I was at home, a small half an onion would do, right? In fact, you'll see
I'm not even using most of the onion because I'm only poaching 4 shrimp here.
Okay.
So you kind of do things. If I was poaching a ton of shrimp, I'd use a lot more.
Yeah, so it's really depending on how much you use. So
exactly.
Now you've got the onion, you've got the spices.
Wine, the little vegetables. I'm going to put some parsley stems in. And
what do parsley stems do? Because parsley usually sits on my plate for decoration, you know.
Well, that's a good thing. Parsley has a lot of flavor, has a lot of good flavor. But it's a good herb. It's a fine herb. But for something like this, if I were to put the leaves in here, they would kind of make everything a little bitter. So I'm going to use just the stems.
Does it make it sweet, or does it just add a little flavor?
Nice herbaceous kind of flavor.
Okay.
And I put them in. It's also just a real traditional way to poach things. So now it's just coming up to a boil. I'm going to get my shrimp. It's really one thing when you're poaching. Check this out. If I were to put the shrimp into a cold liquid and then bring it to a boil or bring it to a simmer, what would happen is as the water heated, it would be pulling a lot of the moisture and a lot of the flavor out of the shrimp. It would draw it out. By putting the shrimp in after it's come to a boil, it kind of locks all the flavor and the juice and everything in. So whenever you're poaching, always put the product, whatever it is, in this case shrimp, into the liquid after the liquid's come to a boil.
That smells pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a reason why you still have the shell on the shrimp?
That's a really good question. You know, like when you make stock or chicken soup or something, you use bones. All the flavors is in the bones. Well, shrimp don't have bones, but they do have the shell. So it's all the flavor that you would normally get, like a veal bone, if you're making veal stock, is kind of in the shrimp shells.
Okay.
Plus, they're easier to peel once they're cooked. So.
Okay, we're almost out of time too, Joe. So we gotta put those. We didn't even get a chance to get to our mango chutney.
The mango chutney is gonna take 1 second. Well,
okay.
More like 1 minute. But okay, so the shrimp are in there. Nice slow simmer. Now, for mango chutney. First, I get a mango. I peel it. This can all be done a day ahead of time.
Okay, so you've got your mango peeled.
Got my mango peeled.
Boy, you make that look easy. When I do that at home, I swear it's messy.
You never do this at home. Are you kidding? Okay. So I'm going to make a little bitty batch here since we're running out of time.
Okay, so you do the mango.
I cut it like that. I'm making it, whoops.
You want it in little squares?
Yeah, little squares, little dice. Kind of pieces of mango the size of corn.
Okay.
Think of it that way.
It's almost like diced.
Yeah, I'd call it diced. I'd call it small diced is exactly what I call it. This mango is like super ripe, so it's a little bit mushy, but better too mushy than too firm, I think. Putting it in a bowl. Then I'm going to get a red bell pepper. I'm going to trim it down so it's real super thin.
And these are all items that you can find at your local grocery store.
Absolutely.
And that you can just put together. And if you want to do it in large volumes, let's say if I was at home, I could use my little chopper. Is that right?
Yeah, you really
could.
I do have one of those. This is kind of cute, thank you. This is a little cuter way of doing it, but okay.
So we've got the pepper, we've got the mango, and now?
Piece of ginger root.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to grate it. I'm going to put a little sushi vinegar. If I can open it. There we go. Sushi vinegar, a little lime juice.
Just a squeeze of lime juice?
Squeeze of lime juice.
And cilantro. And cilantro is found in the regular vegetable section, right?
Toss it around.
Is that all there is to that?
That's all there is to it. A little salt, a little pepper. And it ends up looking kind of like that.
Like that. Joe, you're wonderful. Sorry we ran out of time.
That's okay.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
It smells so good in here. You guys just don't know.
Now we'll get to eat it.